Welcome to Hustle and Healing, the Real Talk podcast on pregnancy, postpartum, and motherhood. I'm your host, Jessica Lauser, here for the raw stories, honest laughs, and everything in between. Let's dive in. So today is Josie's 10 months.
Stop.
I know.
Stop it.
And then when I was leaving daycare, it was funny. That's when I texted you, but I was leaving daycare and Trip is leaving in 3 months to go to pre-K 4.
Oh, yes. Okay. I
And
was like, leaving. Where is he going?
And they make these signs like goodbye. And I literally on the way out was just like, I'm not ready. Like, how?
Wait till you get the cap and gown pictures that I got. I was like, no, how did we get here? It was just born, right?
Yeah.
Somebody said to me, the days are long, but the years are short. And like nothing has ever been more true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The days can feel like they're dragging on for 10 years, but then the year feels like it flew by.
Yeah. I mean, graduation, it's like, it's the sweetest thing, but you're also like, oh my God. Like, so now first grade and.
Well, kindergarten.
Oh, so this is for him.
This will be kindergarten.
But they're probably so cute.
Oh my gosh. They're adorable.
He's a little stud.
He knows it too. That's the funny part. He thinks he's dating my boss.
Mm.
Yes. And he's so sweet. Like he invites her to come and see his room and he like got her a Christmas present. And I mean, yeah.
You're training him to be a superior gentleman.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
He's feral.
I think they all are. I think on every episode, I'm like, yep, here's the little feral nugget here. Here's that.
Yes.
We had to bring Trip in the other day. You know, we have a rule. We're like, okay, you can pee in the yard. That's fine. Like, you know, in the backyard, whatever.
Yeah, valid.
And he was playing around with Rob in the front yard and he was like, I want to pee. And Rob was like, little busy, but all right, I'll let you do it. So I peed. And then he was like, I want to poop too. And Rob was like, okay, we're drawing the line there. We're not going to have you poop in the front yard. Like, we do have some respect for our neighbors. So we're not going to do that. But he comes in because I was back with Josie. And I'm like, what's going on? Is he okay? He's like, yeah, he just wanted to poop in the front yard. And now he is livid.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm like, I can't, like, poop in trucks. That's our life right now. He just wants to talk about trucks and poop.
Hey, I mean, Adrian, I feel like, is obsessed with so many different things, but it's cool because they're becoming more and more complex. Mm-hmm. So it's fun to watch him like explore kinetic sand, but like mixing the colors. And now he knows that if you mix this color and this color, you get a different color. And just watching him sign his name on things.
Oh.
Like, why is he writing? Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Why is my baby writing his name?
Because you look at him.
And why does he know his whole name?
Yeah. It's so cute when he says that, especially like, I know for Trip, we call him Trip, but every now and then in daycare, we'll call him by his government name, like I said. He'll be like, I'm Robert Allen Lauser III. I'm like, yeah.
The third. My brother was a third.
I know. You know what? It's so funny. When I was going back between nicknaming him Trip or Trey, you go down the line of like, okay, what are the Treys that I know? And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I only know one Trip. And I was like, Ashley's brother. And I was like, pretty cool guy. I was like, I can.
Yeah.
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 So I was like, I'm good with it.
He was wild when he was little, but he's chill now.
Mellowed out a little bit.
Yeah. Have you noticed the difference between like boys and girls, or like, are there noticeable differences yet?
I feel like you're getting into the age where you probably notice the difference. Yeah. Josie still, with her being 10 months, like Trip was a pretty chill baby too.
Yeah.
I think we didn't start to really see like the craziness until maybe like a year and a half, 2 years, where they're like really starting to come into their personality and babbling more and talking. So I think we're still in like, all right, they're both about like equal playing fields.
Yeah. I noticed like Adrian never wanted to sit still. He never wanted, like, once he got big enough and was moving, he just wanted to move. He didn't want to cuddle. Chloe will like come over and literally like lay her head on you and just like snuggle up, and she'll just sit with you. Like, if you hand her a stuffed animal, she hugs it and carries it around. Adrian never did that.
I can see that. I can see that. Like,
Yeah.
with our neighbor, she's Tripp's age. And so we watched her one day, and I think she would sit for like 45 minutes and just color and do her own thing.
Look at books. Like,
Yeah. And Rob was like,
what's it
I
like
think
to have a kid that chills?
we were like, we will watch her whenever.
Yeah.
Like, Trip is just, sit with me. Please
Yeah.
come do this. Come do that. Like, even if we put the TV on, can you
see
come
this.
sit and watch the TV with me? I'm like,
Right.
I just put the iPad on so I could do the dishes. I could do something.
Right. Right. Like, buddy, I can't. Will you just sit and watch with me? Buddy, I'm in the middle of cooking dinner. There's food actively on the stove. Like,
Yeah.
no, I can't. Sometimes I wish I was an octopus.
I need about
8 arms.
Yeah.
That'd be good. It would be good.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Well, Ashley, I appreciate you coming on. So this week with Hustle and Healing, I always want to call you by Ashley Fish, but
that's okay. Lots of people still
Ashley
do.
Snyder.
Yes.
Yeah. Officially. And 2 kids, 5 and 1.5. So Adrian, yeah, the little boy, well, little big brother, and Chloe.
Yeah.
And is that solidified the family? Are we done with 2 kids?
Oh, we're done.
Yeah.
We are done. My body doesn't like pregnancy, and we have 1 of each. We're not outnumbered. It's an even number.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
And you're in a good balance. So you've been also host, producer for Living 757 for how many years now?
This is our 6th year.
6. Wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how when Rob and I came on the Valentine's Day special, and I still can't believe we won. Like, we were just like, let's go have fun.
I know.
And we got the whole stay down in North Carolina.
I know. Was it fun?
It was so fun.
That place is so cool.
We probably would have never gone down there. Like, we knew nothing about it. So yeah, it was such a fun experience to like get on to the whole production, and yeah, it's fun. I feel like I learned so much from like who's in our community in the 757 and what's going on. So if you're not watching it and linked up with 757, this is not an advertisement. However, check them out.
Yes.
So busy doing all of that. But, let's kind of dive into, you mentioned like your body does not like pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean? What kind of things were going on when you were pregnant with Adrian?
Okay. So with Adrian, I had like 0 symptoms. I didn't know I was pregnant until after 10 weeks. I was having like irregular periods. Like, that's a whole nother story. But everything was fine with him. But once we hit a certain point, they were like, he's still like not flipping. So they were already talking about like a C-section. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever's best for him. Obviously, like, first time mom, whatever, as long as he gets here safe, I don't care. Then one day, like, obviously he was born right at the beginning of COVID.
Yep. Shout out to our COVID babies.
Oh my gosh, I know. And I was so stressed about COVID because when he was born, it was right around the time when there were hospitals that were like not even allowing partners in the room.
Scary.
Right. So I was already stressed, and one day I was on the phone with my mom and I'm letting the dogs out the back door, and I was like, Mom, I gotta call you back. I just peed myself. And she's like, what? I'm like, I'll call you back. I gotta get the dogs in the house and change because I just peed myself. She was like, okay. Before I can call her back, she calls me back. She also has anxiety. Thanks, Mom. And she's like, Ashley, I'm just a little concerned because you didn't like cough or sneeze or anything. Are you sure that it was pee? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, are you really sure? Because like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, it weirds me out. And I was like, okay, well, now you have me worried. So thank you.
How many weeks are we here?
35.
Okay.
35 and 3. So I texted one of my neighbors who's a nurse, and I was like, hey, this just happened, and what do I do? Because it wasn't a lot. It was a tiny spot. So like it was like first shocking to me that it could be your water and not be a big gush like you always see in movies.
Right.
But she was like, change your underwear, lay down, you know, take a nap. She said, when you get up, let me know if it happens again. And I was like, okay. So I set a timer for 30 minutes, laid down. When I stood up, it happened again. And I was like, okay, well, this is a little bit more worrisome. And she said, hey, change your underwear again. This time, change it to white so you can tell me what color it is. And I was like, okay. By this time, my dad's calling me. He's a doctor. So my mom has called him worried. I'm telling him like what's going on. And he goes, Ashley, you know, I would just go in at this point. Like, it's been a few hours since it happened the first time. Just go in and get checked.
Right.
You're never going to regret going in and getting checked. So I tell Keith, and
is he at work right now?
no, he was in the backyard working on the chicken coop. Yes, I'm like very pregnant. There's a global pandemic. He bought fruit trees and baby chickens. So he's working on the chicken coop, and I'm like, hey, my dad wants me to go to the hospital to be checked. He just wants to make sure that like it's not my water. And he says, do I need a cup? I was like, yeah.
What a key thing to say.
Get in the car. And then I'm like, where's your bag? Like I had been packed since like 30 weeks because I mean, you know, first time you're like, I'm going to be ready. I'm like, where's your bag? He's like, oh, I'm fine. Like if we have to stay there for some odd reason, I'll just sleep in my clothes. Yes, like hardcore eye roll at this point. We get there, they determine not only was it my water, I was also contracting and couldn't feel it.
What?
Oh yeah. And his head is still up here. So they're like, we're gonna do a C-section. They did the C-section. I hear him cry. I'm looking at my phone. I'm texting my family, texting like my girlfriend group text. And then all of a sudden I couldn't see my phone. All the words just like went completely blurry. And I gave Keith my phone and I was like, I don't feel so hot. And the anesthesiologist looks at Keith and she's like, do you want to go to sleep for a few minutes? And I looked at her, I was like, no. And he looked at her, he was like, yes. And she put me under. When I woke up, it turns out I had hemorrhaged. They couldn't get my uterus to clamp back closed. And I lost blood so fast that I lost like the blood supply to my eyes.
Oh my gosh.
So when I woke up, I couldn't see this far in front of my face. Like I couldn't make out Keith's face. Not only that, she said they were one step away from a complete hysterectomy if they couldn't get my uterus to clamp closed. I needed 2 transfusions.
Oh my God.
And it was COVID. So Keith was there by himself.
I was going to say, poor Keith is like, you know, they just put you to sleep. And
not only that, when I started bleeding, they like pulled Adrian out quickly, collapsed one of his lungs. So they're like rushing him out of the room and rushing Adrian to NICU, like all at the same time.
I'm just trying to imagine. I mean, poor Keith was probably like, what is even going on right now? Because, you know, in those moments, they just are like, we got to go. We got to take care of mom. We got to take care of baby.
And my mom is texting him like, Keith, what's going on? And he's like, I don't know. They took the baby. They kicked me out of Ashley's room. She's like, everything is not fine. Like,
oh God.
Yeah, needless to say, my vision came back. But yeah, that was a fun first kid experience.
Wow. So when you came to, was it like, were you in pain? Was it just kind of like?
I wasn't in pain. I was heavily like sedated and like on whatever I was on. I had a spinal because they were doing a C-section. So I couldn't feel too much anyways, like they do a nerve block.
Mm-hmm.
But
What did you think when they told you when you came to? Because right, they were just like, you want to go to sleep, and they put you down, and then
yeah, I
what was going through your head when they told you what actually happened?
they asked if I was feeling okay, and they asked if I was in pain, and I said no. And they were like, okay, well, how are you feeling? I said, I'm feeling fine, but I can't see. And they're like, what?
Oh, even when you woke up.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were like, I'm sorry, what? And I said, I cannot see. Like, I cannot see. Everything's blurry. I can't see. Like, Keith was sitting right here and I couldn't make out his face. And so I was at Centera Norfolk General, and they like had somebody from ophthalmology come in when I insisted that I couldn't see. Um,
Oh my
and they
God.
did all these tests, and they said, we think this is probably what happened, but good news is like everything's working perfectly, like, so your vision should come back. And I mean, there was significant improvement even by the time I went home from the hospital, but I didn't even drive until after I was cleared to drive because it was so disorienting not being able to see.
Mm,
I was like, I can't drive like this.
yeah. How long did it take for you to get cleared back or to feel safe again driving?
They told me I could drive the whole time. I don't think I drove for 3 or 4 months though. It was a
Oh, wow.
while. But I mean, it was also COVID, so we weren't going anywhere.
Right. So it probably didn't seem as, I
Mm-mm.
mean, it still was worrisome, I'm sure. Like,
Yeah,
so did you
obviously.
have to go back for like follow-ups, or did they just send you home like hope you see well?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They just sent me home.
So now, and then Adrian, you said he had a collapsed lung.
Yep. It actually corrected itself. He didn't have to be on a vent or anything. And he was released from NICU. Let's see, I had him on Good Friday, and he was released on Tuesday. I was released on Sunday.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh,
Leaving the hospital without your baby, like being forced to leave,
mm-hmm.
worst experience like on the planet. I like sobbed the entire way home, which was bad because C-section.
Right. And then were you and Keith just going back
Mm-hmm.
to the hospital until he got out?
Yep. It
And
was
then,
only a couple days, but it felt like a long time.
yeah. I mean, I know one of my best friends, like her little girl was in the NICU for 2 days, and she was like the sleeping arrangement. She was like, I'm not going home. She was like, I'm sleeping, in that chair, but that chair is not made for comfort or,
Right.
really to accommodate
No.
a mom to stay there. And you're not getting good sleep in there, especially with the stuff that you were dealing with. And
They wouldn't let us stay
oh, they
because it was
wouldn't.
COVID. No, I begged. I literally begged. And yeah, they wouldn't let us. They wouldn't even allow two of us at a time in the NICU, except since I was like in a wheelchair because of the C-section and all the trauma. They would allow Keith to like wheel me down there and then leave. And then I'd text him to come back and get me.
It's like he's already in there.
Right.
Let him stay.
Right? I know. But they were super strict. That was, I mean, it was April of 2020. So,
Right. All the unknown. So,
yep.
and then after you guys got home, was everything, you said that the lung self-corrected itself.
It did. And yeah, everything was perfect when we got home. So,
And then how soon after did you start trying for baby number two?
around a year,
Okay.
it actually took probably 6 months of like trying.
Mm-hmm.
And we got pregnant with a little girl. But we lost her at 19 weeks.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. And we actually found out a year to the day after we lost her that we were pregnant with Chloe. Right.
And did they have like any reason like why she had passed? Or
So I experienced something called preterm premature rupture of membranes, or PPROM. where I had like an infection that caused my water to break really early, like way too early.
So did you technically have that with Adrian, or was that like, did
Um,
they look into, because 35 weeks, still
they
a little
should have looked into it, but they didn't. So, yeah.
it's like, because you think, it's like you probably compare, like, did I always have this
Right.
from the beginning?
Right. And the thing is, when I went to the doctor when I was first pregnant that second time, I said, do I have to worry about what happened last time happening again? And they're like, no, you're good. We're gonna, do all this like blood work and stuff. We're gonna make sure. And they didn't test me for the two like major infections that people can get that cause your water to break early.
Mm.
They just didn't.
So you could have found out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I was definitely angry when I found out because it's like, you missed this. Like, you're supposed to be the best at this and you missed it, even though I asked you repeatedly. Um, but what we did when we found out we were pregnant with Chloe was I requested high risk from day one. I told them exactly, like, I advocated for myself. I told them exactly why I wasn't happy with my care before, what I needed to happen in order for me to feel like comfortable. And I told them that I wanted a cerclage. Do you know what that is?
So actually, on an episode that's about to come out,
Okay.
one of the moms was talking about it.
Yeah.
And they had a cerclage during their pregnancy.
Yep.
So if you would have asked me 5 weeks ago, I wouldn't have.
The more you know.
But it's crazy, the stuff that you don't know
Right.
going into anything, or hey, these are things like, here's some general information on
Right.
some of the things that are out there.
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard. I went to nursing school and I still didn't know what a cerclage was.
Crazy, right?
Like, what?
Yeah. So the new high risk doctor I was seeing said, I can agree with you that like something's going on that's causing this to happen. She said, so yeah, basically they do like genetic testing, and then they do a early scan to make sure there are no weird genetic markers, because they won't sew your cervix shut unless they know you have a healthy baby. So we passed all those things, did the cerclage. We actually hid it for a very long time, unless you saw me in person. But like on my show, we didn't announce it until I was 30 weeks.
Yeah, I felt like you did a really good job hiding it.
Thank you. I had a lot of help. Shout out to my production crew.
Were they in there like editing stuff to just kind of, or was it just the clothes? Like, you knew what to wear?
It was clothes. It was angles. Quincy and I did this segment outside where we had to have a car. And so I stood behind the door with the window down so that you couldn't see from like here down. We played a couple games where we used pillows, and I would just hold mine here. And then like, if I was going to hit somebody with it, I'd bend down first so you couldn't see. I was so pregnant. So pregnant. So by the time like we announced it, people were like, stop it.
You're like, and I'll be out on maternity leave. Bye.
Right. We filmed it at 30 weeks. So it aired at 31 weeks. And then I went into labor with Chloe at 36 and 1.
So still early.
Yeah. I was actually at work on a Tuesday. We filmed all day. Towards the end of it, they wanted us to redo something. And I was like, I don't feel good. I'm not going back up there. It was these stools that on a normal day are comfortable and fine. But for some reason, the way it was so upright was just like not sitting well with me. And I was like, I'm not getting back on that stool. I'm not doing that again. And then they asked us to retake something. And I was like, listen, I don't feel good. I'm not, like, I can't right now. And one of my girlfriends who worked with me was like, she had driven me that day. She was like, I just feel like you shouldn't be driving. So on the way home,
That's crazy, that intuition.
I know. I know. On the way home that day, I started like having contractions, but like
Could
they
you
were like,
feel them this time?
yes, but they weren't hard at first. It was just like, wait a minute, I feel everything like tightening. And I was like, oh, wait. So we timed them. There were like 10 minutes in between. When I got home, I said, Keith, I'm going to order food. I'm going to, sorry. Yep. But I was like, I'm going to lay in bed. I'm going to order food. Like I'm having some contractions. And that was that. I like stayed in bed, ate my dinner in bed, like, and didn't get up again until I rolled over in the middle of the night and my water broke. And this time it was like the movie.
Yeah.
And Adrian had by that point started sleeping in our bed. And he looks at me and goes, oh no, mommy, you went pee-pee on yourself. I'm like, yep, buddy, that's exactly what that is. We're just going to go with that. And then I stood up and I mean, when your water broke, did it like break?
The second one.
Yeah.
So the first one with Trip, they broke it and that gushed out. But my second pregnancy with Josie, I was in the hospital. I still was like, they're probably going to break my water again.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they gave me Cytotec to kind of kickstart because I got induced. And so I was trying to like avoid Pitocin at all costs. I was like, please don't give it. Like, can I have something else? So they gave me Cytotec to try to get things going. And I remember just like, oh man, this is coming. And I had told myself like I wanted to get an epidural before my water broke. Oh God. And I'm standing on the side of the bed and I just like looked down and like specks of like blood were down. And I was like, oh my God. And then I started getting scared because I'd never seen my water break. And then just gushed down. And I was like, oh no, what's going on? And they were like, honey, your water broke. And I was like, okay. And then in my head, I was like, shit's about to get real. Like I can't like, cause that's when my contractions really started intensifying once my water broke with Trip. And it was like night and day. Like as soon as the water broke, I was like, oh my God. So it's so weird how like the differences between them.
Right. Like I didn't even feel the contractions with Adrian and with Chloe by the time like, so that happened. I like changed my pants. We grabbed all our stuff. Keith's calling his mom, like meet us at the hospital and grab Adrian because Ashley's water broke. It was the perfect timing because he hadn't left to go to work yet. And he's in marine construction. So like if my water broke while he was on a barge, he'd have to wait to get brought in from the barge. So yeah.
Thank God.
God's timing, right? But I was having contractions by the time we were on the way to the hospital. And I get there and I'm like, she's breech and I have a cerclage. And they're like, okay. So they like,
this was educated.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to let them know this isn't like I'm going to have a regular vaginal birth. Right. I'm sewn shut. So if the contractions keep happening, it's going to rip my cervix. Like I was making sure everybody knew that because I was like, this can't wait.
Yeah.
Like it was happening faster and they were hurting more. So yeah, we ended up going back with him like an hour for a C-section. And this time everything was calm. There was no hemorrhaging. Ooh, I know, but they had already had like blood on hand just in case I needed it. This time they were prepared just in case, but
was it the same team? Were you with the same OBGYN?
I was with the same group because there's only one high risk group.
Oh, okay.
But when this was like the high risk OB that like has been there forever, did my C-section.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a way different experience that time.
And then she came out.
Yeah.
You could see.
Yep. We took a couple pictures together. She ended up going to the NICU for a few days too. But yeah.
Did you anticipate or kind of have like any conversation around like going early? Like did the doctor anticipate that you probably would go pretty early the second time around?
So if you look at all the data, like the studies, if your water breaks early once, it's like more likely that it'll happen again. She did last longer than Adrian did.
But by week.
But by like 4 days. So 35 and 3 and then 36 and 1.
Mm-hmm. And how big was she when she was born?
7 pounds, 13 ounces.
Oh, dang. So she
a
was
month early.
Yeah. So she would have been a bigger baby if she stayed in.
I was huge. I was huge. Like,
did you have a lot of swelling?
No. Weirdly, with Adrian, I had more swelling and less weight gain, and he was smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And with Chloe, I had less swelling, more weight gain, and she was bigger. Like,
when were they born? Months?
Adrian was born in April. Chloe was born in August.
Okay, that's surprising.
I know.
I feel like the summer, whew, it messed me up.
Yeah,
like my legs, and we went to Costa Rica when I was, I think, like 6 months pregnant. Oh my gosh. And then my legs just never went back. Like I think just like the travel and the flying, and so my legs were so swollen.
For both?
For just Josie.
Okay.
So the second pregnancy, I had a little swelling with Trip, but with Josie, it was like I couldn't recover, and then the summer was hot, and then when you have when you actually have a kid and then you're pregnant, you can't slow down. So he was wanting to go to the beach, so I'm like hobbling with my thick feet, just like trying to put him in the water and like
oh my god,
cool him down.
Oh no.
And it's like, the edema, I don't know how many times I pressed my like ankle and I was like, Rob, look at this. Look at this. And he's like, I see, babe. Like he was so good to just like every day I'd be like, look at this, like as if he didn't see me do that the day before.
Oh my gosh. After Adrian, I was so swollen that I couldn't even put on any of my shoes. I wore slippers home. It was bad. It was like Fred Flintstone.
And it's you're like, your toes just get, and I'm like looking down at my feet, just remembering how chunky, and like you're just like, whose feet are these?
No, I know. No, like I remember people came over to like visit, and I was like pulling a blanket over my feet, like.
It's like of everything, you're like, just don't look at my feet.
Right. Look at the cute baby. Don't look at my feet.
Yeah.
Or my ankles.
Yeah, those were gone.
Oh yeah, no ankles.
Mm-mm.
And since both of them were breech, I didn't even have ribs towards the end of both of my pregnancies. Like I remember when they pulled him out, I was like, oh, I have ribs.
Oh,
they're there.
Yeah. Oh, so then after you had Chloe and you recovered, like, did you both know? Because in the beginning you said like you guys are done.
Yes.
2 is good. Did you know after Chloe, like?
We knew when Chloe was a girl and she was healthy, that was it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. We're done here. Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to be outnumbered.
Yes.
It's like we can, you attack one, I attack the other. And I'm like, my logic isn't always reasonable, but I'm like, if we go to amusement parks.
Yes.
And we have another kid.
No, I've thought about that.
I'm like, either I have to sit out or one of the kids have to sit out. I'm like, who wants to ride a roller coaster by themselves?
Right. You can't have anybody riding a roller coaster by himself.
No. So I was like,
pairs of 2.
For those reasons, I can't have 3 kids.
Exactly. And 3 has been my lucky number forever, but no, I have no desire.
No. And my thinking when I was younger, I was like, 3 or 4 kids, it'll be great. Fast forward, I'm like, 2 seems fine.
Yeah.
And even like, and it resonates even more now. Like, I feel like when I didn't have kids and people are like, I just want to have like a healthy baby. I'm like, I'm sure you want more. But now that I have 2 healthy kids, like that is a possibility. You have to think like your life will change if you have a kid. I work with students and adults with disabilities, and that's hard work, but then I get to see the families and the day in, the day out, and the commitment that the families have to sacrifice and to navigate the system of just different things. And so I mean, it hasn't happened, but it's a thought too, and especially if we feel like life is hard right now or we're busy. And so like Rob and I had gone back and forth, but then when we found Josie with a girl, it's like, we'll probably we're done. Like a piece of my heart is like, last night I actually was like, Rob, what if like Josie was a big sister? And he was like, are you drunk? Like what? And then he just like walked away. And I was like, you're not going to answer my question? Like, what if Josie could be a big sister? And you know how we just like throw questions out to like maybe get an answer? He was like, oh, you want an answer? He's like, no, we're done. We said we're done. I was like, okay. I was just wondering. I was like, hypothetically, it just seemed like it could be a fun idea. Because you see stupid reels, and I was like, oh my God, look at these little babies, like so close in age, and seeing Trip and her. But I'm like, no, we just need to keep this rolling. Like, we're in a good spot. Kids are sleeping through the night.
Kids are expensive.
Kids are expensive. I'm like, yeah. And because is Adrian going to public school or
No.
private?
He's in private. I don't know. Something in me is just terrified to send him to public school.
And has he been going there for like daycare and stuff, or did he just transition into the?
He started at one school, and then when I was pregnant with Chloe, we moved him to one that was a little closer to home. And he's been there for a couple of years now, and that's where he'll do kindergarten, and then we're gonna figure it out after that.
Yeah, we're in that same boat where I'm like, all right, we got him set up with something for 2 years at a new school, like a pre-K. And then I'm like, all right, buys us 2 years to figure out what we want to do.
And I mean, the problem is like, obviously, we know that private schools are probably a little safer, smaller class sizes. But they also, like, I feel like I'm going to have to sell my organs on the black market to pay for it. Have you looked at tuition?
I'm like, Feet Finder sounds great.
Right. Do people have OnlyFans for their feet?
Yeah, I think you could do whatever. I'm like, I don't have an OnlyFans, but
I don't either. But looking at tuition rates, I'm like, maybe I'll start one with the chickens or something.
Chicken Finder.
Yeah.
Yeah, prices are insane. I think the average that we were seeing was like 20 grand a year, and I'm like, for my kindergartner,
right?
For my first grader,
right?
And then times that by 2.
Yeah, it's like that's as much as a mortgage. That's a car.
Yeah. And it's like growing up, I mean, I went to public school, but I was in like a country town. It was, you know, it was fine. So I never imagined having to consider something other than public school for my kids. And like I had even kind of talked about, you know, Rob and I have different views on like, you know, what are we saving for to help our kids with? And, you know, college is always like, aren't you going to pay for your kids' college? I'm on the opposite spectrum where I didn't get my college paid for. So I kind of come from I think that you work harder if you're paying for it, or Rob went into the military. And so that, you know, that's a avenue that he advocates for. I mean, certainly they'll have their own choice and what they want to do. I also don't believe you have to go to college.
Right.
To do stuff. I mean, look at the way that the world's going right now. So the thought of me saving thousands of dollars for college, I'd rather save my money or spend it on memories and go and travel and give them a different childhood. I didn't have a bad childhood, but we didn't really explore different areas of like the world. And I think that would be something that I would want to give my kids. And that would have to be a choice. Do we save for college and sacrifice some of those things now?
Right.
Or do we, you know, get to give them those opportunities? But then you think about in the private school, and they're like, or we have to pay for private school.
Right.
So those are all the things that like, spiral.
And I mean, we grew up in a very different time too. Like, I don't think we went to school and worried about school shootings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
that never crossed my mind.
No.
But it's one of the first things that crosses my mind when I think about him going to school.
Yeah. And then
yes, this is not political. This is just me.
I know. No, but it's hard. I mean, you think about all those things, like the safety aspects. I mean, I think about like the environment, like
bullying.
And like, not that it can't happen in private school.
Oh yeah, it definitely can.
And it does, but I did like the classroom sizes and
Yeah.
I've talked about before, like Montessori schools are like even more appealing to me
Yep.
now, especially with a boy. Just I think the research that's out there about like boys and how they're like more hands-on and
Yep.
not sitting for long periods of time, like that's hard. And
Right.
so like for Tip, he would thrive in that type of environment and to be able to learn from older kids. And so it's like those
Yeah.
are things that we go back and forth on
Mm.
to figure out. So it's like you got
It's
all of that.
hard.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard.
But it sounds like we have some time to figure out.
Yeah.
But like you said, the days are gonna add up.
Mm-hmm.
So with two and working and Keith works,
Yep.
how like did you always know that you were gonna go back to working after you had the kids?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I do and I love my kids and I love my time with my kids. But I feel like for me and my mental health, I have to have something for me. Like I can't not do anything that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like having kind of the best of both worlds, like my jobs allow me to be like a stay-at-home working mom. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I can still get to all of Adrian's school functions. I can still take him and pick him up.
Mm-hmm.
I am home with Chloe. Like I do meetings virtually from home a lot of the time. Um, so it's kind of allowed me to be myself, like thrive as myself, but also thrive as a mother.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that comes because I'm kind of in a similar boat where I work remotely and so I do have the ability to go and pick up the kids and I
Yep.
drop them off, I pick them up. If they're sick, they stay with me. And so Rob, being a teacher, only has so many days off that
Right.
they can have because they have the summer off. And, but do you feel like there's a layer of pressure that also comes with that? Because then you're a full-time working mom, but now you're still kind of a full-time working stay-at-home mom, right? Because you're kind of
Yeah.
balancing both. Like, do
Yeah.
you see some of like, does that show up in your life where the pressure of having to balance both becomes overwhelming, or do you feel like you've gotten to like a space where you're able to manage it?
A little bit of both. I mean, I have generalized anxiety disorder. So, I have a lot of anxiety all the time. I'm also ADHD. So, those two go perfectly hand in hand. But,
Great multitaskers. I feel like I'm like
yes, yes, exactly. Um,
doing all the things.
I thrive under pressure. The closer it gets to a deadline, the quicker and more efficiently I'll work. I don't know. I feel like I kind of live in that space in the anxious and stressed, but doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, sometimes you just don't have any chance, but any choice but to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes I go back and forth and figuring out like, I think sometimes for me, it'll build a little bit of resentment because although I have, because I care about my career, I care about what I'm doing,
Yep.
but then I'm the default parent that has to
Oh.
take off work, that
Oh.
has to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, no hit to Rob at all. I mean, he's an amazing dad. He
Right.
steps up, like he does all the things. I can go away, I can trust him with the kids.
Yep.
But obviously, naturally, it makes sense. Like I'm the one that has that flexible schedule, but there's that resentment where it's like,
Yes, I always have to take care of everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you can just say, hey, I'll take the day off. Like, but I don't know. It's like working through those things of, I can do it and I'll do it. Right. And my work is super accommodating to allow me to do those things. But then there's that piece where it's like, dang, this is a lot.
Yeah.
Like thinking about all the things.
Oh my gosh, dentist appointments, doctor appointments, vet appointments, like just keeping track of all of it. And like if I showed you my calendar right now, you'd be like, what?
I think you sent me a screenshot when we were talking about Outlook.
Like, look at this.
Oh my gosh.
Is this not ridiculous?
And that's just I mean, kudos to you. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
For those that cannot see, I mean, it's color coordinated. It looks great.
Well, I have a privacy screen on, so I don't know if you can see it.
Right.
But yeah, lots of colors, lots of blocks.
Now, is Keith on this? Like, can he visually see?
Oh no, he would freak out. I will remind him a few times of like things that we have to do as a family.
Mm-hmm.
He's funny though. He's like, she just tells me where I need to be and I show up.
I joke around when we went to Costa Rica. We like got to Costa Rica and Rob was like, okay, so what's the van? We need information on the van. I was like, I have all this information. And I was like, how dare you start asking questions the second we land in Costa Rica? How do you think you got here?
Wait a minute.
I was like,
so he had just let you do all the planning. Did you have to pack?
He can pack his own bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
He packs his own bag too.
Yes.
But everything
I always
else.
stop there. I'm like, you can pack your own bag. And honestly, he is very organized. Like he asked me to stop folding his laundry because he has a navy fold, which is a lot better than
Rob.
My like I'll just like I hang things up. I don't like folding. And so like most of my stuff is like hung up in our closet. But yes, he'll pack his own bag, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But all the other things, like I'm usually like navigating, you know, this, that, and the third, the transportation or
yeah,
whatever else.
Packing for yourself plus 2 kids.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I got this. And then Rob's like, I'm like, hey, have you packed yet? And he'll be like, oh, I'm gonna pack. I'll pack the night before. And I'm like, must be nice to just like. But if you had to pack for 3 other people and then figure out the dog and figure out
who's staying at the house with the animals, do they know how often to feed the chickens?
Oh, you got a whole chicken schedule.
Oh my gosh. And then if it's like summer, then like you also need to water the garden and it's a big garden. Like, yeah, being the default parent is a lot. But would you trust Rob to do everything you do?
It's so funny that you just asked that because in my mind, I'm thinking I'm such a control freak that I probably wouldn't let him be the default.
Exactly.
However, there are certain questions that I've like we work on, you know, with any marriage, like you work on the questions, you work on all things. If you're not, you should.
Right.
Because there's been a time where like we didn't, you know, and we just were like, this is supposed to be natural. We're married, we love each other, right? Like all these things are supposed to fall in line.
I don't know.
And then kids come along and they toss that idea
monkey wrench.
out. And like, because the first couple of years of marriage is like still fun, you're doing whatever you want. And we had our kid within the first, like right after we got married, within that next year. So like we jumped right into it. But like I think what's helpful is I can say, hey, if you can ask me these questions, or instead of saying make me a list, please do not ask me to make you a list. Like that is a pet peeve of mine. I'm like, we know the basic essentials that we all need: eggs, milk, etc. You like to have yogurt, apples. These are the things that we know that we always want every week.
Right.
Like I trust that you can look in the fridge and say, hey, we're low on these things. I'm going to go grab those. And I can be like, okay, at least basic necessities that we know that kids are going to eat in the morning are done.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think trying to like work on ourselves to be able to like at least say, hey, if you can ask this question, because like for some people, it's like, yeah, I'll just write you a list. You can go and you can do it. But like for whatever reason, like that will trigger me. If he's like, sure, I'll do it. Like, just let me know what I need to do. And I'm like, ugh.
I'll just do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like if I need to walk you through how to boil water for pasta, I'm just going to make the pasta myself. I'm not going to send you to the grocery store because you're going to have to FaceTime me on 7 different aisles to ask where this is and this is and that is.
Now,
One of
who does the cooking?
I do.
Okay. You're a good cook.
Thank you.
I remember your dinners.
Thank you. I like to cook too. It's a way at the end of the day for me to kind of zone out and like do something I enjoy, cooking. And Keith will usually take the kids while I'm cooking.
I was about to say, you said zone out, and I'm over here like karate chopping kids, throwing snacks on the ground, like I'm feeding pigeons or something to keep them away. So
I mean, there are days where I do that too. But he usually will take them. So I'll like pour a glass of wine, put on some music and cook. And yeah, I like it. But one of the things I have like been intentional about, especially 2 jobs, 2 kids, like trying to balance everything, is finding ways to like make life easier. So like for meals, I used to sit and take hours on a Sunday planning out meals for the whole week, and then writing a grocery list of all the ingredients and like doing it by hand. I found this app called eMeals. That
eMeals.
And they have like probably 30 different plans if you want heart healthy or you want low carb or low calorie or Mediterranean or gluten-free, like vegan, whatever, like they have it. And you can go through and you can pick meals, and then it sends all of it to a grocery list. So it sends it to like the Kroger app or whatever app you use to shop for groceries if you do that. And for me, it saves me hours each week.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then do you do grocery pickup?
Either pickup or delivery, depending on how busy I am and how busy Keith is. My husband's been working like 60 hours a week, 6 days a week.
Yeah. Where's he working now?
He's still with WF McGann, so marine construction, but he moves back and forth between different job sites. So
all local.
Yeah, local-ish.
Is he doing anything like bridge wise?
No, he was on the HRBT a couple years ago, but that was a shorter job. Now he does a lot of stuff on the different bases.
I was gonna say I need to know the scoop on when that bridge is gonna be done.
You and me both. I feel like it's been a traffic problem since I was born.
And I feel like more cars are just going to come as the road widens.
Yep.
So what has been the most recent no, I'm reframing because I feel like we've talked about like getting kids into activities. Like is Adrian, I feel like it feels like just yesterday, but it was over a year ago when I came by and got the swing. And I think we both were talking about like getting kids into sports, and I was like, ooh, I don't want to like give up all my weekends.
Right.
Have you since gotten Adrian into any sports, or what do you
No, I haven't. He has done several rounds of swim lessons, and he's starting swim lessons again in August. Him and Chloe both are starting again in August.
Who are you guys going through?
Goldfish Swim School.
Okay.
They're finishing building the one in Chesapeake now. So yeah, we're excited.
Does he like swim?
Yes. They both love the water. We have to pick up the dog bowls and we have to shut the bathroom because he did it where he would splash in the dog bowls and in the toilet.
Oh, God.
And Chloe does it now. So, yep, water babies.
Yeah, Trip just started swim. So it's like we're on the same, on that same journey. Because I feel like because we're so close to water, it's so important.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was saying that the other day that this whole area is surrounded by water. And, you know, water safety is one of the most important things. It's such an easy way for kids to get hurt or worse. And yeah, that's another one of my like biggest nightmares.
Yeah, I've never knock on wood, known anyone close to me, but all the stories you hear, and
Mm.
I'm like, I couldn't imagine. That's like my biggest nightmare too. Like, I feel like a pool in your home sounds really fun, but I'm like, I don't know.
I know. I always wanted one, and now that I have little kids, I'm like, I can wait.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and they have so many like contraptions that they can
Yeah.
do, but I'm still, it's like, I mean, 2 seconds, I turn around and trips into something.
Right.
And so I'm like, that could, and
That could be
and
the
then you have
pool.
two, like there's multiple days
Mm.
where it's just me looking after the kids. So
Yeah.
I'm like, that's,
Yep. That sounds like nightmare fuel.
yeah. So it's been cool to see him in swim and to get those. We're going through this company called like the British Swim
Okay.
Club or team, and they're at a bunch of different locations, and so we go to like Virginia Wesleyan
Nice.
and we do it there, and it's perfect. It's kind of
Yeah.
like low maintenance. We went to one at One Life, but that was so many people. It was like just too much. So it's
Yeah.
like you also, I feel like, have to find the right fit to
You do.
how our classes like at the one that Adrian goes to.
Well, we haven't started yet. But the other place he used to go to, it was like in this lady's backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So it was smaller class sizes. Like it was just way nicer than having to go into somewhere like a gym because we did one of those too. And it was like, it was loud, it was echoey. You always felt
Mm-hmm.
like you were inhaling chlorine. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I don't know. I think we're gonna probably put him in some more stuff here soon. He's saying he wants to play soccer, he wants to wrestle, so I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's when they can start voicing
Yeah.
what they want to get into.
Right.
Because before then, it's just you kind of
Throwing them into things and seeing what sticks.
yeah, where it's like,
Yeah.
that's also not cheap.
Mm-mm.
So
Nothing's cheap.
So I think it's cool to be able to like hear them say, and in my mind, I can hold you more accountable. Right? We're talking about holding 5-year-olds accountable, but
Yeah.
if they say I want to do wrestling or I want to do baseball,
Yep.
and we put you in it, like the deal is you do it until you're done.
Right.
You don't have to do it again if you don't like it.
Right.
But I say you have to follow through with
Yeah.
whatever you get into. And then you could kind of say, you said you
Yep.
wanted to do this.
Yep. And
Versus...
it's important to be accountable.
Yeah.
And to finish what you start.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, obviously there are exceptions to that, but
As long as there's no safety things going on, it's like
right.
You can't just give up when things are hard and you don't like it.
No, you can't.
Like, I didn't have that choice.
Nope. And you had to finish your vegetables. Mama didn't raise a quitter.
Are there things, so it's funny you say that, because are there things that you feel like from your childhood you have brought into your family where it's like, I really enjoyed doing this as a kid. I want to do that with my family, and like traditions or values, or opposite, where you're like, these are things that I don't want to do. And because I think we're living in a totally different world.
We are
growing up from when our parents raised us to like us raising our kids.
One thing that I always like try to mimic for my kids is growing up, we always had like the best holidays. They were all magical. Like Halloweens were like homemade costumes.
Oh, that's so cool.
And like not the kind that I would like paste together like now because I don't know how to sew, but like actual like patterns and sewing. Like the house always smelled amazing at Christmas. They would do like spice cider and the whole house would smell like it. We always got real Christmas trees, so we still do that. But yeah, like kind of transforming the house for holidays is one of my favorite like traditions, I guess, that I would mimic. And I guess the biggest difference would probably be religion. I was raised Catholic, but as I've grown up, I've realized that like a lot of the rules I don't agree with. And I don't know if God would really be that apt to look at people and say, I don't know, you have a tattoo, you can't get married in a church. Like, I don't know. It feels like, well, if there are all these rules, but you say that he loves everyone, it doesn't really add up.
Yeah.
So I consider myself more spiritual now than religious, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like I feel like we grew up going to church. We were Catholic. But like from my memory, I can't really remember anything outside of that than just going to church.
Right.
Versus like I can't remember again like really following certain values of the church outside of church. So it was to me like, why are we going to, like, we're going to church,
right,
we're listening to the service, and then we leave and we do whatever we really want to do. So it's interesting. And so like I'm kind of in the same boat, like, you know, sure, like I believe in certain things, but like religion isn't what it looked like for me. Or like I think for us, like a big one is definitely nutrition, like, you know, in what we feed our kids. Like that's a huge one. I mean, I grew up on TV dinners, so it's like I turned out fine, right? So it's like
but it's like with our kids, we're like, no dyes. All organic.
I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends the other day, and we were joking around, and I had like sent a picture of the cereal, and she's like, what is that sunflower bullshit? Like, get yourself some like Honey Nut Cheerios and call it a day. And I was like, no, like, come on, girls. Like, we got to like keep our fitness up. We got to take care of our bodies. And she was like, oh, I'm a crunchy mom, like through and through. And she was like, but I'll eat me a box of Cheez-Its. I was like, look, we all have our guilty pleasure.
Dude, mine is ramen noodles.
Chicken or beef?
Beef.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm hungover,
yes,
that is my go-to.
1,000%. Wait a minute. Do you actually cook them though?
I cook them and then I put a cracked egg in it, and then I'll put a little dab of hot sauce.
Oh, yes.
So it's like fancy.
When you're hungover, do you get like stomach hangovers or headache hangovers?
Oh, I'm dead until like 7 p.m. Like I'm usually like throwing up.
I'm about to change your life.
Oh,
okay.
Do tell.
So instead of cooking your ramen noodles, like break them up and then put some of the seasoning on top and eat them like chips. Dry.
What?
So basically, they soak up the acid and the alcohol in your stomach and keep you from feeling like that.
Interesting. Right. So and it works for you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to try it. I mean, look, I've also given myself like 1 to 2 times out of the year to actually really be hungover, because my hangovers are so bad. I'm like,
same.
It's stupid.
I can't be hungover anymore because I cannot parent hungover.
Oh no. Yeah,
I die.
We went to our holiday Christmas it was a Christmas party, and our neighbors watched the kids, and then I was like, yeah, mom's night out. And the next day I was like, I'm dying. This was awful. Like, who let me have those 2 extra drinks? And then I'm like pumping, because I'm still pumping. And so then I'm like, I'm still at the feeding this kid. Like, you can't even just like lock yourself in the room and say, honey, like, you got me, right? Like, I still have to show up. So it's like those moments where honestly, like I'm getting to a point where it's like, I don't like, I want to have a drink and like a nice cocktail every now and then, but it's like, it's definitely not what it used to be. And it's like, I can go out and have fun and not puke. However, again, I told you I have 1 to 2 through the year where I allow myself, and I have my cousin's bachelorette party coming next month. So I'm going to bring some ramen.
Bring some ramen.
Do my ramen chips.
And yes, and I'm going to need you to report back.
Okay.
Let me know.
Yes.
Let me know if it helps. And do you get the munchies when you come home after a night of drinking?
Yeah.
If you do, eat them then.
Okay.
Because then when you wake up, you're already going to be a step ahead.
Do you do electrolytes?
You don't even
do the electrolytes. You just
because
do
you
the ramen
put some of the seasoning on top.
Because that's the sodium.
Yes. Exactly. Don't eat the whole packet because that's too much sodium.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Everyone, you heard that firsthand.
You heard it here first.
All right.
My 99-cent hangover trick.
Yeah. Well, that's a wrap on Hustle and Healing. So, Ashley, thank you so much for coming. So, everyone, keep hustling, keep healing, and cheers. Cheers. Come hang out with me on Instagram at Hustle and Healing Podcast for more real talk, laughs, and support. You can also catch the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, follow, and leave a review if you're loving what you hear. And do me a favor, share this episode with a fellow mom who needs to hear it. Keep hustling, keep healing, and don't forget to reheat that coffee. Again, see you next time.